Welcome to House of Horns. My name is Victor Corona, aka Victor Producer, and joining me, as always, is Sports Illustrated staff writer Gilbert Manzano. Gilbert, we're here to preview for this pregame show, Rams and Lions. We usually don't do this unless it's something you have time, and so we decided to do this. And with the Cowboys getting destroyed by the Packers, we thought we hop in a little early. So here we are, Gilbert. What are your impressions so far as we get ready for this big game between the Rams and the Lions?
Yeah, we're not Eminem. We won't have a dynamic pregame show like they're trying to do in Detroit, but we're pretty good here at House of Horns. And shout out to the Packers for whooping the Cowboys to give us more time to talk about this highly anticipated matchup between the Lions and the Rams. But yeah, so I guess the downside here is that the Rams can't face the 49ers in the second round because the Packers eventually are gonna clinch his victory and head to Santa Clara for a 1-7 matchup. So if the Rams handle business, that means the winner of Buccaneers Eagles, that'll be the second round matchup. So not bad, but that's getting a little too ahead of ourselves. So but it is intriguing to see what the Packers just did. And it could be maybe kind of a telling sign because that's a young up and coming offense that they just kind of destroyed the Cowboys. And I think the Rams are also a young up and coming offense. How about that?
Yeah, and we've talked about this about how both of these teams kind of mirror each other in terms of the Rams and the Lions. I think whoever ends up advancing from this matchup is going to give their next opponent fits, just like the Packers are doing to the Cowboys right now. But do you want to get into some of these
Yeah,
comments so
why not?
far? We have Delbert Salgado. He says, "Que chinga andan poniendo a los Cowboys." So pretty much saying what a whooping the Packers are giving to the Cowboys there. So pretty spot on there. We have James Wheelock with wow, it's entertaining seeing the Packers. Yeah, they've been ever since I know we said that maybe the Rams would have been the Rams with a healthy Matthew Stafford, but I think that's when they kind of took off, right, Gilbert?
Yeah.
The Packers. It seems like they must have unlocked something after the once they faced the Rams because they've been on a roll ever since.
Yeah, I think the Packers at that point had lost four straight, and they just needed some type of win. And here come the Brett Rippon led Rams, and Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur probably think, okay, finally, we got to win this game at home against the shorthanded Rams. I don't think Kyron Williams was playing in that game, so it was not the same team. But the Packers won that game, and it really kind of springboarded their season. And then they had Jordan Love face the Chargers a week after, I think. So that 2 game stint against the LA team, uh, they needed a win against the Rams, and then Jordan Love really took off against that Charger secondary. He hasn't looked back. Like, you know, when I watch that guy play, he really reminds me of Aaron Rodgers. And I know it's setting the bar really high, but he worked with the guy for the last 3 years. So the tendencies, the way he throws off platform, footwork, motions, they're all very similar. And it's like, man, the Packers did it again with another quarterback. And I had high hopes for Jordan Love before the season. I actually picked the Packers to win the NFC North. They're making them look good, but they had a rough patch, and same like the Rams. They needed a couple games or maybe the first half of the season to get going. So 2 months, and then here they are clicking. Both sides very dangerous offensively, and yeah, to the credit of James there, yeah, that is a very entertaining Packers offense to just see it all unfold with so many young weapons and a surgeon quarterback.
Yeah, and I mean the other thing you can take away from that game, even though the Rams lost, is that's when they took off. Like they went on a bye, they got all their guys healthy, and then they've been what 7-1, 8-1 since then. So I mean it's great to see when we ended up talking to Kirk Morrison, and he talked about the fact that when you asked them when did you know that this team, and I think that was it was after that game they played against the Packers coming off that bye. Let's get to Nick Talks LA. Oh, sorry about that. What's up, House of Horns? How are you guys? I'm ready for this Ram game. So are we. We're ready to get going, especially since this game is a snoozer. So we're able to get into it right away, Gilbert. So let me start off since we got Nick Talks LA getting us ready here in terms of what we can expect from this game. We've already had our preview show, but We now know who the inactives are for both teams. So let me go ahead and give you that for now. For the Rams, Jordan Fuller. So it looks like he wasn't able to get himself healthy enough to start in this game. So he's been inactive. Jordan Fuller, the safety, is inactive. So is the receiver who scored the touchdown last week for the Rams, Tyler Johnson. Running back Zach Evans, linebacker O'Shawn Harris, linebacker Troy Reader, another person who got hurt in that 49ers game, and offensive lineman Warren McClendon Jr. are all inactive for the Rams. And then for the Lions, Sam Laporta is officially active. Gilbert, I sent you a couple of videos where he was practicing, but he did have a knee brace on, so we'll see how much he can do. But let me, before I get your thoughts on Sam Laporta playing, let me give you the inactives for the Lions. Cornerback Stephen Gilmore, defensive lineman Charles Harris, quarterback Hendon Hooker, who I forgot that was drafted by the
Yeah.
Lions, defensive lineman Broderick Martin, linebacker Julian Owara, wide receiver Khalif Raymond, and safety Tracy Walker. So let me ask you about Sam Laporta being active, and let me get your thoughts about that.
Yeah, well, we don't really know how Sam Laporta is going to be. Is he going to be like, just a decoy player, or is he going to be the full Sam Laporta that we see? I think he got named to second team All Pro. Which kind of tells you, what a great rookie year. Same thing with Puka Nacua, second team All Pro rookie year, and then Kyrie Williams too, but a second year player. But Sam Laporta makes all the difference with this Lions offense. So he's capable and willing to kind of like play with that knee and stretch for plays and make catches. And yeah, it really makes Jared Goff and Ben Johnson that more dangerous. So you know that's why when he got hurt in week 18, I'm like, oh, that's gonna be kind of a downer there because you want to face the best of the best. So we don't know how he's going to play, but he got to this point. He got carted off in that Minnesota game, so we're all thinking he won't play. But I think it's good challenge, and I'm sure Raheem Moore is prepared for the possibility. And like you mentioned, Lions reporters kept saying Dan Campbell, when he speaks, he's not kind of giving you the optimism or fluff. Like he's kind of, you know what, this guy might play. So that turned out to be the case here. And when you have to deal with Almon Rossi Brown, Jameer Gibbs, Jameson Williams, David Montgomery, and now Sam Laporta, it's going to be a big challenge for Raheem Morris's defense, especially a young secondary that's kind of gotten burned in the past 5 or 6 weeks of the season. So, just for him to be in out there, it plays with your mind when it comes to mental mind games and, motions and pre-snap, things like that. So, regardless if he's not ready or not, just him being on the field is going to mess with their minds.
Yeah, and especially with what we've seen from Sam Laporta, as you said. I mean, he broke the tight end receiving record, I think, for both catches and receiving yards, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're
Uh,
correct. Yeah.
yeah, which was Keith Jackson from, I think he was with the Eagles at the time, because I think he also played with the Packers. But yeah, I mean, he's been outstanding this season. He's been, I mean, Iowa continues to produce tight ends. I don't know what they have in that water over there that they're tight end you in Iowa, but if you draft a tight end in the middle rounds from Iowa, he's probably going to become an all pro eventually, because we've seen all the tight ends. But in terms of Sam Laporta, his ability to not only you know uh be able to get the ball in the middle of the field, that way you can attack the middle of the field with Jared Goff. I think he's a big plus. We'll see how healthy he is. I mean, as I listened to some people from the Lions, they said 60% of Laporta is better than their backup guy. So
Yeah.
anything he can do, I think it'll be interesting to see how they use him as well. Gilbert, do they use him to block at all, or are they just gonna have him be a pass catcher in this game just because they don't want to put him in harm's way and to get his knee even more injured? So
Yeah.
what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I guess 60% sounds about right. 'Cause I don't, if it's something where like, hey, you can't, risk, further injury on the knee, and it won't be a torn ACL or something where he has a lengthy rehab in the offseason. Like, is it really worth it? So, I think they were smart about it. So that means, yeah, he could be 60% or above. So, he's gonna be out there regardless of if he's gonna be a dangerous playmaker. He's still gonna be maybe somebody to help you block, maybe somebody to get a quick outlet pass and give you a first down or whatever it is. He's not going to be to his full potential, but he's going to be out there helping out. So uh, we'll see what they do, and don't be shy. People watching on the live show here in the comments, James, Delbert, and Nick got it started. So if you're worried about Sam Laporta, let us know. If you're not worried about it, let us know too. Or there's something else do you want to talk about this game, because we got about 20 or 25 minutes here on House of Horn. So just a quick reminder: don't be shy, and we'll get to all of it. But I'm just actually glad that he's out there for I guess best on best kind of matchup.
Yeah, and just an update here from Jordan Rodriguez. Fans in the stands started chanting Jared Goff after Goff runs into the field, and boos when Matthew Stafford runs out a few
Oh,
moments later. So there you go. That's the scene down in Detroit. But we're here to kind of talk through this pregame show, kind of get you ready for this matchup. I'm just hoping this is the best game of the weekend so far, because it's been kind of blowout so far. The first three games we've already seen Houston blow out the Browns in a game where you have a young quarterback, kind of have his performance, his breakout performance in the playoffs. And then you also had the Chiefs dismantle the Dolphins in frigid Kansas City, and then as of right now, 48-24. It looks like Packers over the Cowboys. So it's been no game has been entertaining so far, Gilbert. So hopefully we're hoping this one is, and that the Rams come out on top.
yeah, I'm sure Rams fans will rather have a blowout victory than a
Yeah.
close game. You got to sort it out. But for me, I want to see an entertaining game. I'm with you, Victor. And it's kind of been somewhat of a near perfect weekend so far for us with our playoff picks. We both had the Texans, and we both had the Chiefs. And then we both took +7 on the Packers. But I'm kicking myself for not just picking the Packers to win with
Yeah.
the upset. Fernando took the Packers. So he had that one right there. But to see this beat down, I am a little shocked about the way the Cowboys performed, but the way Love and the offense and Matt LaFleur have performed, I'm not too shocked about that. But it kind of tells you that these young quarterbacks, they're fearless with Jordan Love and CJ Stroud. So they have been blowout games, but to see CJ Stroud operate, to see what D'Amico Ryan's defense did to Joe Flacco, that was fun. And then with the Chiefs game, you kind of knew what you're going to get. The Dolphins were ravaged by injuries. They're a little too small. The game was too cold. So 26-7 seemed about right. We'll see what they do in the second round, that being the Kansas City Chiefs. And then, yeah, we got the beat down today. But so it's all shaping up to being a very wildly entertaining game for Sunday Night Football. But again, Rams fans will probably take an easy victory. But then again, hey, it could be a much earned victory that could help out throughout the whole playoffs if they win in Detroit in a close fashion.
Yeah, and I mean, it'll be interesting to see how this game goes. Whether the Rams get the ball first and they decide to, get the offense out there. But
Matt
before
LaFleur did
we,
it, and I liked it.
yeah, if the Rams do that, just before I get to these comments, we got Onyx 2626 and Arch Stan on here. Just what were just kind of reminding people what were your keys to a Rams win, just so people know what we win with.
Yeah, don't go away from what got you here. Kyron Williams sets the tone, and I know, when you talk about team MVP, people point to Matthew Stafford and Puka Nakua, but I keep going back to Kyron Williams. When he was out for 4 games, they really missed him, and I think a real changing point for the Rams season. It was a game that didn't involve Kyron Williams, but it was a game that, like, if you win this one and you hold on, when Kyron Williams comes back, you can make something here. And when Jason Myers missed that field goal, I think it was 55 yards as time expired against the Seattle Seahawks at SoFi Stadium. They got a lucky break. I think they won 17-16. I forget. But it was a victory they needed. And then when they got Kyron Williams back the following week, but against the Arizona Cardinals, he dominated. He got back to his form. And then they didn't look back after that. It was 7 victories out of the last 8 regular season games. So, I think sticking with that and making sure that he's involved in some type of way, passing, running, or maybe all of it, will be big for Kyron Williams. And obviously, you want to get Cooper Cup involved too, but Puka Nakua is a focal point, and I think that was the second biggest key for this offense taking off. And if you hear the Cats, they're really amped up for this game. And don't blame them. They're cats, but they're rooting for the Rams, not the Lions.
Yeah, yeah.
Terrible joke there. And yeah, the whole point is you know, Kyrie Williams is the one that kind of made the difference. And then for the receiving game, I think going to Puka Nakua as your number one wide receiver really took elevated a whole nother level. And so I think keep going with the young guys. I know they're young and it's the first time being in the playoffs, but keep treating them like superstars. Keep treating them like the way you did in the second half of the season. Like these are the guys who are your workhorses. Yeah, Stafford and Cooper Kupp have won a Super Bowl, but it's a changing of the guards here. They're all instrumental in their own way. But I think these young guys, don't forget about that and go through them. Same thing like I think the Packers, are not the best example because they don't have a lot of experienced guys, but everything went through the young guys, and you kind of want to see something similar with the Rams in Detroit.
Yeah, and then the other thing I saw was, I mean, we talked about it in terms of Kyron Williams. They're set. I think they're 7-1 when he rushes over 100 yards. So I mean, or 80. I think it was 80 yards. And so he's been a big key. The only game they lost was that overtime loss to the Ravens,
Yeah.
and the Lions don't allow teams to go over 80 yards. I mean, it's been a while since they've allowed a rusher to go even over 70 yards, I believe. So that's going to be I think no matter what happens, the thing that you want to see is Sean McVay sticking with the run because as we talked about, he's been he likes to pass the ball and he might get pass heavy, but I think in this game you have to run the ball. And let me get to the comments now. We got Onyx 26. He says Laporta won't come in much, if at all. They want McVay nervous. That's all. Um, we have Arch Stanton. After the Rams get this W tonight, we'll be facing the banked up Tampa Philly team. Is really opening up in our favor. So people are already looking ahead. We got a Onyx 26 there with a and then we have AMS. If Green Bay holds on, there's a chance we have a home game in the NFC Championship. Wow, that is true. If the Packers go up and beat the Niners, I mean, but that's looking way ahead. We're here to break down. We're here to get you guys ready for Lions and Rams. And Arch Stan says Laporta should come in on goal line opportunities and third and longs. And one more from Arstan. Yeah, Green Bay always seems to have our numbers. So there you go.
Yeah.
A lot to get into. And then in terms of me, my keys were mine were on the defensive side, Gilbert, and that had to do with the fact that you have Aaron Donald, you have Kobe Turner. I think in this game, I think the Lions are going to try to run the ball on this Rams defensive line, and I think the Rams defensive line needs to clog up those lanes and make sure that they don't run all over because as we talked about, you talked about those receivers and how good they are for the Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Sam Laporta, especially up the middle. So for me, it's don't get Devin Montgomery and Jameer Gibbs going on the ground. I think if you need to make sure that you stop the run in this game with Kobe Turner, and then I want to see where they move Aaron Donald if they have him in at D tackle or they have him on the outside, trying to get penetration as well on Goff because you're gonna need to put pressure on Goff as well. So the I think the one of the things we talked about a lot was the chess match between Ben Johnson and Raheem Morris. I want to see that. I want to see how that you know goes if Raheem Morris is able to get the best of Ben Johnson as we've seen in this game in the Packers and Cowboys. Dan Quinn was up for a bunch of jobs and right now with the fact that his defense is getting torched, it might cost him some head coaching jobs out there, or it might not. But it doesn't look good on his resume. And if Raheem Morris can outcoach Ben Johnson, that'll bode well for him getting a head coaching job.
Yeah, these performances from the coordinators, they do matter and they linger in people's minds. Like yesterday, I kept seeing, I know it's social media, but everybody on social media kept saying the OC of the Texans, Bobby Slowick, should get a head coaching opportunity after that performance that they put up on a very good Browns defense. But then the Browns defense does not carry on the road for some reason. But that's a different point. And then going off of what you said, and I think Kirk Morrison said it too earlier in the week, like the other part of the defense, like I'm very intrigued to see how they use Ernest Jones, the linebacker in the middle. Will it be more of a safety net, or is he going to be aggressive and be a blitzer and attack Jared Goff? Because Morrison reminded us, like, hey, like if you go after Goff, Jameer Gibbs is right there for a quick dump off, and he could turn a 10-yard gain into an 80-yard touchdown. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with Ernest Jones in terms of that part there. So we'll find out quickly, and then. I also like the comment seeing people jumping ahead with the possibility of Packers, Rams, and the NFC title again. That's it's getting too far ahead, but it is a cool kind of possibility because the number seed advance.
Yeah, well, remember, I mean, I I don't blame Ram fans for thinking this way because their Super Bowl run, they ended up being the home team in the NFC Championship game
Yeah,
against the 49ers, and it was because of that. Even though they started out on the road on wild card weekend, they ended up hosting, the 7 seed. So I totally understand. I mean, the things are starting to open up and starting to look like that Super Bowl run again. But I mean, like you said, we need to pump the brakes because we're here, previewing this game, and the Rams still have to take care of the Lions. I mean, the Lions are a really good opponent here, as we talked about. They're a mirror image of each other. They can attack you with their offense on both sides, and it's gonna come down to which defense is able to stop the other offense. And I think one of the big things we need to talk about, Gilbert, and I mean, we bring it up because it's going to come up, and that's special teams. We need to talk about special teams. I think
yeah.
if the Rams are going to beat the Lions in this game, they need to make sure that their special teams don't end up costing them, whether it's punt return, whether it's their kicking with Brett Maher. Is he going to come into play in this game? I think those are some of the things we have to make sure that we remind Ram fans about.
Yeah, and they caught a break with Khalif Raymond being inactive. He's a dangerous returner. I think he does primarily punts, but he might do both kickoff as well. But that's one big aspect of special teams right there. So they do have a lot of explosive playmakers on offense to maybe fill the void of Khalif Raymond. Like a Jameson Williams was really fast there. I don't know how much they trust his hands, but hands hasn't been too much of a problem for him since he entered the league. But yeah, you cannot overlook that. But maybe on the flip side, the Lions also having issues with their kicker might mean a bunch of fourth downs, a lot of creativity, maybe some 2-point conversions, things like that. And we saw what happened to the Lions with the whole Taylor Decker gate there, and that he report it, did he not? So I'm expecting something fun for this game, and hopefully not too chaotic on the special team sides there to make the special team coordinators go crazy. But yeah, we cannot forget that aspect. I don't think that hasn't really been a factor in the first 3 games because they've been blowouts. So, but yeah, when it's tight game and it's very close, we saw what happened in the Baltimore game with the kick returner there, or punt returner. So things like that do matter at the end.
Let me ask you, what is the over under, since you reminded me on Dan Campbell going for it on fourth down, or pulling off a trick play? Like what a combination of both. What is the over under?
Man, I think he'll go for like four fourth downs, which is not seem doesn't seem too wild for Dan Campbell, and then he'll have at least one trick play. I'll go with one. And the thing about them, they know how to time it pretty well. You don't know when they'll come. So, but with the kicker problems and then maybe being a shootout, I could definitely see a high amount of fourth downs on both sides as well.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's going to be over 5. I mean, just with I think the way this game's going to go, I think he's gonna at least pull off one trick play and then have at least 4 or 5 go for it on fourth down kind of situation. Let's get back to some of these cons. We got Arsene back. He says today looked like the Green Bay game against Detroit on Thanksgiving, dominated from start to finish. Play calling. And my biggest issue has been with the Packers has been Joe Barry and that defense, and they played really well. I mean, they took away the slants. I thought for sure that the Cowboys were gonna they were gonna take advantage of the middle of the field because the Packers have been their defense has been terrible in the middle of the field, and they game plan. I mean, they move Savage down to linebacker, and that's where he got that pick six. So credit to the play calling, not only by LaFleur, but also Joe Barry, because I've been very critical of Joe Barry. So that tells you coaching is very important this time of year, Gilbert.
Yeah, and he also had a great performance or game plan in Week 18 when they needed to win against the Bears, and the Bears had all the pressure because they want Justin Fields and Eberflus to stick around, and Joe Barry took care of them. They didn't even do, and then they got fired. The Luke Getsy, the OC, got fired because of Joe Barry's game plan. So he's had a nice few weeks there. I wonder if it's getting to the point where like they might keep him, but I know a lot of
Yeah,
Packer fans don't want to hear that.
yeah,
But they have a lot of talent there, and they haven't been able to get on the same page, and they're finally doing it. They got pass rushers, they got DBs, they have a lot of draft capital invested on the defensive side. So, yeah, that was something there, and yeah, I was very surprised to see how they really shut down CeeDee Lamb. They were like CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott were like, pretty much arguing on the sidelines. A couple times they were not on the same page. So maybe Raheem Morris could have like a similar game plan where he could frustrate an Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like I think he might be the one that really worries me the most for the Rams defense because yeah, he's not known as a burner down the field, and that's been the problem for the secondary. But this guy gets open quickly. He knows how to find holes in the zone defense. If you play him man, he knows how to run a great routes to get open. So he's just like the ultimate uh, quarterback friendly target. His route tree is just you know a vast kind of route tree, and it really reminds me of Keenan Allen. I know I watch Keenan Allen a lot with the Chargers, so
it's a good
guys
comp.
like that, are very dangerous when it comes to like third down, fourth down. Gotta have it plays.
Yeah, and I mean the way they use him too, they move him around. I love the way the Lions use him. I mean, watching Ben Johnson and his creativity with the running backs, and I know everybody was critical of them, taking Jameer Gibbs in the first round, but they've been able to use those running backs well, bringing in Devin Montgomery. After trading away DeAndre Swift, there was like, what are you doing? Why are you trading away DeAndre Swift for a fifth round pick? And they knew something. They knew what they wanted to do. And credit to the GM in as well because he's able to get the players that Ben Johnson wanted, and there was a reason why he came back. For another season, he had unfinished business, or he just didn't like the head coaching possibilities that were out there, and now he's primed to get another head coaching job, whatever head coaching job he can pick whatever one he wants at this point. But we'll see. I mean, and Raheem Morris on the other side is also up for. He's done a great job. He's been criticized by Ram fans because he doesn't put a lot of pressure. He doesn't blitz a lot, but the what he's done with this defense and having Aaron Donald and developing those rookies has been outstanding. And we've talked about Ernest Jones and how big he's been this season. And so both of these coordinators, I know we talked about Sean McVay and we've talked about Dan Campbell and how they're going to coach this game, but I think those two coordinators, I think it's a big showcase for them, especially as they look for head coaching jobs.
Yeah, Raheem Morris, I don't think he gets enough credit for the way he puts players in positions to succeed, to win matchups or favorable matchups. Like to see what Kobe Turner is doing next to Aaron Donald, that's a big credit to Raheem Morris, Byron Young, Michael Hoy going from defensive tackle to edge rusher. Raheem Morris saw something there. Obviously, the development of Ernest Jones, and then even going back to the days of, you know, Jalen Ramsey. Obviously, he's a talented player, but like when you needed him to take another level to win a Super Bowl, they really took off. They saw what Brandon Staley did with Jalen Ramsey, and Raheem Morris, to his credit, built off of that, and he said, "Okay, cool, let's keep doing this and make it work." And obviously, the defenses have changed. He had playmakers last year, not as many this year, but he's developing them, putting them in favorable matchups, and having a good structure with the scheme. And yeah, maybe you don't want to take too many risks here because they don't have the talent in the secondary to really hold up against some of these talented wide receivers. And you thought Kobe Durant could take another step. He really didn't do it. They got nice contributions from Jordan Fuller, who's been dealing with injuries, but he won't be there tonight. That's gonna be a big factor as well. But you did get something in Akilo Witherspoon. Darion Kendrick was up and down, so that might be a priority in the offseason, but for right now, they got to deal with the Lions passing attack. But yeah, I really hope Raheem Morris gets a chance here. But like you said, Victor, if there's a dud defensively, that does stick to people's minds, I think, when it comes to interviews.
Yeah, and especially with what we're seeing from Dan Quinn right now, it'll be interesting to see what
Yeah.
happens. And I mean, if that ends up costing him a job. But one more comment here from James Wheelock before we head out. It says, if the Rams blow out the Lions, we won't have to worry about Brett Maher. He said he made the correction. But if that's the case, yeah, you don't want to be worrying about your special teams in this game, Gilbert. I think you want to be able to take advantage of your offense and your defense, and let that be what wins you the game. We have Nancy Nettie. What's up, compas? What's up, Nancy? It's
What's up,
good to hear.
Nancy? Good
It's
seeing
good.
you again.
Yep. She checks in with Compas, our regular Compas. So it's awesome to see her here on House of Horns. And then Delbert Salgado says, appreciate it. Let's go rounds. I'm out. And we're about to head out too as well. And then Nancy Nair says, I was close with Puka Nakua. So there we go. Shout out to Puka Nakua. Hopefully he has a big game in this game. But Gilbert, before we go, I just want to remind people, win or lose, we'll have a post game show, our live post game show after the game. Make sure that you tune in. Hit the subscribe button. Let us know. Leave us the comments. It's already there. So any comments you have during the game, go ahead and drop them on there. We'll get to them, but we'll be back breaking down this whole game. And yeah, Gilbert, I can't wait to get into it. Like I said, hopefully it's a better game than what we've seen the first three games so far in Wild Card Weekend.
Yeah, I'm excited for this matchup, and it's all setting up for a big time game because, like you mentioned, it's been blowout. So we got to end at least Sunday with a bang here. But like I mentioned, Rams fans would rather have a lopsided victory, but they understand it's going to be a close game against a very talented team. And Nancy, you're off on the receiving yards of Puka Nakua, but I would not be surprised if Puka gets 1,900 yards next year because he already did it with Cooper Cup and Calvin Johnson, that being Matthew Stafford. So right now, all eyes are on Matthew Stafford to see what he does in his return game, and I kind of like that he's getting booed right now because it is a big time playoff game. Right now, nobody is friends of the enemy, so it should be a big showdown here. And I'll read Arch's comment right here. With all these head coaches now available, I'm hoping it makes it harder for Morris to get a head coaching job. We are lucky to have him. You could definitely say that again, Arch. He's been a great coordinator. I know people get frustrated with the way he dials up blitzes at a low rate, but it tends to work for the personnel that they have. And I think he likes his role as DC. May not want to fully pursue a head coaching job. We'll see. I don't know. He's been interviewing for the last few years, and he keeps falling short. And then he had that opportunity with the Buccaneers, which seems like ages ago, probably around 10 years, maybe. I think he replaced
He
John
was
Gruden.
young. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a long time coming. He's learned a lot, and I do want to see what he's really learned because sometimes his coaches get opportunities too early and it doesn't work out. But hey, second time around, how about that guy Bill Belichick who got a second time around after the Browns stint and really did well?
Yeah, and I want to see more defensive coordinators get jobs because we've seen now the change. Everybody wants to see the offense, but you got to give credit to these defensive coordinators. They made the adjustment. They've adjusted to what we saw from 2007 to 2022, and now the defensive coordinator should get their shine, and they deserve some of these head coaching jobs, like Antonio Pierce, Raheem Morris, Dan Quinn, even though he just got blown out, like
Mike McDonald.
yeah, Mike McDonald. So you're gonna see a lot more of these defensive coordinators. They deserve a shot, and I'm with you, Gilbert. But we're ready to get
Yeah.
to this game, Gilbert.
So
We've been anticipating it all week, so go ahead and close us out so we can go and watch this high scoring game, hopefully.
yeah, thanks for joining us for this quick pregame show. We wanted to give a few more takeaways and talk to people before the big time game. So shout out to those that jumped on: Arch, Nancy, Delbert, Nick, AM, Onyx, James. We really appreciate you jumping on for about 30 minutes here. So let's get to it. No more storylines to cover. It's time. No more matchups to break down. It's time to play actual football, playoff football. Let's watch, or if you're in Detroit, shout out to you, but let's watch from the comfort of our homes, which could be a very intriguing game. So Rams versus Detroit Lions, wild card weekend, Sunday night football. It does not get better than that. So on that note, ya nos vamos. Pues, thank you, Nancy. Vámonos.